This is Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related, and today we're going to be talking about Geforce Now because another publisher has just left the service. Not that long ago, it was announced that Activision Blizzard games would be getting dropped from Nvidia Geforce Now supported game catalog, and it seems like the bad news keeps coming because Bethesda will be following in their path. Now, if we're being completely honest here, this really sucks. That means anyone who was looking forward to playing Doom Eternal through Geforce Now, that no longer is an option. Not to mention the countless other Bethesda supported games on the service like the Elder Scrolls Online. Overall, this is really bad news, and it makes me wonder whether or not Nvidia is gonna try and fix these relationships, or if they're just gonna keep on going with what they got. After all, their response to Activision Blizzard leaving was that they left due to a misunderstanding, but does that mean they also had a misunderstanding with Bethesda? The reality is that nobody really knows, but it's safe to assume it has to be some sort of money issue going around. What I want to focus on today is why exactly this is bad news, not just for Geforce Now, but cloud streaming in general. One thing that's become very apparent to me is that the cloud gaming landscape definitely doesn't need some sort of war brewing between fans. It seems like it's heading in that direction though, because much like there are Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo fans, we're starting to see some cloud gaming users starting to pick a side and defend it at all costs, and that's really not the way to be looking at this right now. For example, if you're a Stadia fan and you're celebrating or relishing in the thought that Bethesda's games are no longer going to be supported on Geforce Now, then there's a problem there. The average consumer isn't thinking, oh, I guess I'll go use Stadia then because the game's available there. No, the majority of them are even more skeptical of cloud gaming because of this. I've been reading on way too many online forums, and users are using this news to justify their hate toward cloud gaming. Some of them use it as justification for not investing into a cloud streaming platform this early on, and others are trying to spin it by saying that developers don't think that cloud gaming is good enough to represent their games. Both of which are extremely misguided answers, because if you've used either Geforce Now and Stadia, you know how well these games play, and you know how great of a service they can be. Likewise, those of you who are Geforce Now users hoping that Stadia fails, well, that's a really misguided way to look at things too. Stadia provides ease of use like Geforce Now doesn't even come close to, and that's okay. That's a different way to play for a different consumer. Not to mention, out of all the companies, Google seems to be the one that's pushing cloud native gaming the most, and that may be the future of all these cloud streaming services. If Google wants to be the one to take the big risk of developing AAA budget titles for cloud gaming from the ground up, then so be it. Let them do it and let them figure out what works and what doesn't. They've talked about making huge battle royale games with player counts unseen anywhere else, but they're the ones who are gonna have to figure out how to make that fun. The same goes for the other technologies they've touted about creating these massive expansive worlds like never before seen. These types of projects are going to take a ton of time and investment, and it seems like out of all the companies interested so far, Google's the only one who's willing to dive in head first. We've seen hints of how amazing this technology can be from the likes of Microsoft with Flight Simulator. And that's really just scratching the surface of what's to come, and eventually I do think most of these cloud gaming services are going to have cloud native games. It just seems to be that Google's the one who wants to be the first through the door and offer that sort of experience. Having any of these companies fail would be an absolute blow to the cloud gaming community as a whole, and as such, no one should be wanting the other to fail right now. This is why I have such a big issue with media outlets who are just trying to fuel those fires by creating the most clickbait titles they can think of. A great example of this is the most recent Engadget article stating that Google is disappointing the Stadia community. An article that just so happens to have a comment section full of Stadia users explaining why they're happy with their current service. And look, I'm not trying to say that absolutely everyone is happy with Stadia. Things aren't that black and white, but it's just ridiculous to see the amount of hit pieces that get made on the new platform. I mean, do you think if one of these big publishers dropped support for Stadia completely, we wouldn't be hearing about it everywhere in the most negative way possible? Do you really think all these media outlets would simply be reporting that Activision Blizzard dropped support for Stadia, or Bethesda will no longer support Stadia? Not a single chance. I guarantee you that all of these media outlets would be finding out ways to write Stadia is doomed in 12 different ways. Also, to be very clear, I don't think Geforce now losing support from Activision Blizzard or Bethesda is going to be enough to damage what it does. To be completely honest with you, I think the majority of the big publishers could leave and Geforce now would still retain quite a bit of value. As they have stated, there's over 1,500 developers interested in bringing their games over to the service, so there's no real shortage of games to support on that service. And despite what you may have heard by the countless gamers saying that cloud gaming isn't ready or that no one is interested in it, well, Geforce now just recently announced that they have over 1 million registered users. All that says to me is that there's definitely an audience looking for cloud gaming, and I think all of these services can flourish together, at least for the meanwhile. Every single one of these has hurdles to cross and problems to fix, but the future's looking really bright. Anyways, that pretty much sums up everything I wanted to discuss in this video, but do let me know your thoughts on Bethesda leaving and dropping support for Geforce now, as I'm very curious to find out what you think. Was it a deal breaker for the Founders tier for you, or are you still signed up for the $5 a month for the first 12 months? Do let me know as I look forward to reading your reply. Now, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. Today's end of video message is going to be a very simple question. How hyped are you for the gameplay reveal of Baldur's Gate 3 coming this Thursday? This is easily one of my most anticipated games coming to Stadia, and I seriously can't wait to see this gameplay. Anyways, I look forward to reading your answers in the comments section below or on our community Discord. Either way, thank you for watching. This has been Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related. The Gen S community is over 3,500 strong and growing by the day, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.